There comes a point in the twin flame journey where everything begins to shift. After what feels like endless cycles of running and chasing, silence and yearning, a mysterious stillness arises, one that carries with it the vibration of truth, readiness, and union. This is the moment many have longed for, when the divine masculine stops running and finally chooses to stand beside you, not from fear or confusion, but from love and alignment. To understand why this happens, we must first journey into the emotional and spiritual depths of the divine masculine energy. This video will guide you gently through that understanding, helping you awaken compassion for the masculine's path, recognize the sacred balance of your own energy, and restore your trust in divine timing. You'll begin to see that everything you've experienced was never punishment, it was preparation. You were never waiting in vain. You were becoming. Before union can happen, the divine masculine must undergo his own spiritual awakening. And that path, though different in texture and rhythm than the divine feminine's, is just as sacred. The masculine energy is often conditioned by lifetimes and cultural patterns to suppress vulnerability, to fear deep emotional intimacy, and to over-identify with external structures like success, control, or logic. When this soul meets his divine counterpart, the feminine energy that mirrors everything he buried inside himself, it triggers a powerful inner earthquake. Suddenly, he's faced with feelings he doesn't know how to hold. He feels exposed, disoriented, yet profoundly drawn to this connection he cannot explain. And so he runs, not always physically, but energetically. He shuts down, he withdraws, he doubts, he hides behind distractions, fears, or even other connections. But beneath all of this, something sacred is brewing. His higher self is awakening, slowly breaking through the barriers that his conditioned self clings to. Every moment of silence, every perceived rejection, every escape, none of it is meaningless. It's all part of the masculine's sacred unraveling. This journey is not linear. The divine masculine must face his wounds alone, just as you have. He must confront the parts of himself that believe he is unworthy of unconditional love, that fears failing you, that questions his own divinity. And so the running is not just from you, it's from himself, from the vastness of what he feels, from the weight of the love that threatens to tear down the walls he spent lifetimes building. But the soul cannot hide forever. At some point, the pain of separation becomes louder than the fear of love. And that's when everything changes. When the divine masculine runs, he often chases illusions, relationships that feel safer, environments where he can stay in control, or distractions that numb the intensity of his emotions. But these illusions, though momentarily comforting, always start to crack. The soul cannot find peace in anything less than truth. Over time, these external structures stop working. The relationships that once seemed easier now feel hollow. The success that once brought validation now feels meaningless. The distractions grow tiresome, and beneath it all, a quiet voice begins to speak louder. It's the voice of the soul calling him home, not to a place, but to himself, to love, to you. This awakening often happens in layers. At first, he may resist. He may try harder to cling to old patterns, but the soul has a way of repeating lessons until they are truly learned. He begins to see that running from you is running from the only thing that ever truly felt real. He begins to see your face in everything, in dreams, in songs, in moments of stillness, and slowly, the illusion of separation dissolves. This is not a moment of romantic longing. It's a moment of deep soul remembrance. He remembers the bond that existed long before this lifetime. He remembers the safety he felt in your energy. He remembers his own essence, reflected back to him through your presence. When the illusion shatters, so does the belief that he must do it all alone. For the first time, he realizes that choosing you isn't about losing himself. It's about finding himself. You are not his completion. You are the mirror that led him back to his own wholeness. The masculine's decision to stop running is never just a romantic decision. It's a spiritual surrender, and it only happens when his internal landscape has changed. For most of the journey, he resists surrender. Surrender feels like weakness. Vulnerability feels like danger. Trust feels like a risk he cannot afford. But spiritual awakening humbles even the strongest defenses. At some point, he faces a moment where he can no longer deny the truth of what he feels. He sees how his fear has sabotaged what his soul desires most. He realizes that avoiding pain also meant avoiding joy, and slowly, something within him softens. This shift is not dramatic. It's quiet, internal, and deeply personal. It's in the way he begins to choose truth over comfort. It's in the way he stops blaming others and starts reflecting on his own patterns. It's in the way he stops trying to control the outcome and begins to trust life's flow. This is the sacred masculine awakening. It is not about perfection or grand gestures. It is about presence, honesty, integrity, and it always begins within. The masculine must learn to trust his own emotions. He must learn to love himself enough to feel worthy of the connection. And when that happens, he stops running, not because the path is now easy, but because he is finally ready to walk it with open eyes and an open heart. Surrender is not giving up. It is laying down the weapons of fear and standing naked in love's light. When he reaches this state, his soul no longer sees union as a risk. It sees it as truth. Though you are not responsible for the masculine's awakening, your energy plays a powerful role in creating the space for it. The divine feminine is the keeper of compassion, trust, and unconditional love. And while this can often feel like a heavy role, it is also your greatest strength. In the early stages of the journey, many feminines confuse unconditional love with self-sacrifice. They wait, they chase, they lose themselves in his silence, forgetting their own sacred path. But the real power of the feminine is not in waiting, it's in rising. When the divine feminine turns inward and begins her own healing, everything changes. She starts to detach, not from love, but from expectation. She stops trying to fix the masculine and starts nurturing her own wholeness. She rediscovers her joy, her creativity, her purpose, and in doing so, she creates a vibration so pure that it awakens something in the masculine soul. This shift doesn't go unnoticed. He feels it, even in silence, even across oceans. The masculine is deeply attuned to the feminine's energy. When she rises in her power, he is called to rise in his. When she stops chasing and begins to simply radiate, he no longer feels pressured. He feels inspired. And most importantly, when she begins to trust herself, she no longer fears the timing. She knows that union is not about getting him to choose her. It's about both souls choosing themselves fully, so they can meet from a place of mutual readiness. You are not a placeholder in his journey. You are the mirror, the lighthouse. And when you shine without apology, you guide him home without even trying. There comes a sacred moment where the divine masculine makes the choice to return. This is not always a dramatic reunion. Sometimes it begins quietly, a message, a conversation, a shift in energy. But underneath it, something powerful has occurred. He has chosen. Not because you begged, not because he feared losing you, but because he's done running from himself. Because the pain of pretending finally outweighed the fear of showing up. Because he looked into his own soul and saw that no amount of avoidance could erase what he felt. This choice is born from a deeper place than logic. It's a knowing, a soul call. And when he makes it, he does so with clarity. He is no longer a man unsure of what he wants. He is a soul who has walked through fire and emerged whole. This moment often surprises the feminine. It may come when you've surrendered all hope, when you're no longer waiting, when you've created a life so full that his presence is no longer a necessity, but a sacred bonus. And that's exactly when the energy aligns, when both souls are complete in themselves and ready to build something new together. The divine masculine doesn't return because the feminine is perfect. He returns because her authenticity, her love, and her strength have reminded him of his own. Because through her presence, he has seen what real love is, and he is finally ready to receive it. When the masculine stops running and finally chooses to return, a new chapter unfolds, one that requires just as much care, growth, and awareness as everything that came before. Union is not a finish line. It is the beginning of a deeper phase of the journey where both souls must now practice all they've learned. Challenges may still appear. Old emotional patterns can still be triggered. But this time, the difference is in how you respond. You now have the inner tools, the strength, and the wisdom to meet these moments with presence and compassion. Union is not a prize. It's not something you get because you endured the pain. It's a sacred doorway, a chance to express love more fully, more consciously, and more selflessly. It invites both of you to embody the divine in the way you speak, listen, support, and grow together. This phase asks for more than just togetherness. It asks for devotion, for humility, for the willingness to serve something greater than the ego. It's about nurturing a love that uplifts not only each other, but also the world around you. Letting go of attachment is essential. You are not here to hold on to the other out of fear. You are here to love them freely, to walk with them, not to bind them. Union thrives when it is rooted in freedom, trust, and respect, not in the need to possess or control. You are not joined to complete a missing piece. You are joined to mirror truth, to reflect divine love back and forth like a sacred dance. For the feminine, this is a time to stay grounded in her own strength. You do not need to become his source of stability. Instead, you build a shared foundation, side by side. You trust the bond without gripping it. You allow the love to flow without needing to shape or predict its path. You continue honoring the self you reclaimed during separation, knowing that your wholeness is what drew him back in the first place. For the masculine, stepping into union means no longer hiding from vulnerability. It means standing tall in his truth, no longer fearing his own emotions. He brings with him not just passion, but presence. Not just desire, but protection. He no longer meets love with walls. He meets it with openness, devotion, and the courage to stay. He holds the feminine not to tame her, but to honor the fire she carries. He becomes the steady anchor that allows love to rise, not collapse. Together, you become two whole beings, walking a sacred path. Not because you need each other, but because your souls recognize each other. You serve not only your connection, but something larger than yourselves. And in that, you find a deeper joy than either of you could have created alone. If you're still in the space where the masculine is distant, still running from the connection, I want you to know that you have not been left behind. You have not been overlooked. Your journey is not less important or less meaningful because it hasn't reached union yet. You are not waiting for someone else to give you your worth. You are remembering it on your own, day by day, choice by choice. It may feel like nothing is changing. It may feel like your heart is moving in circles, but in truth, you are being shaped by every step. You are becoming stronger, softer, clearer. You are becoming the version of yourself who can hold divine love when it finally arrives. Not from need, but from knowing. Not from fear, but from fullness. You are not late. You are not forgotten. The universe has not misplaced your soul. Everything you are feeling, the ache, the longing, the silence, it is all part of the transformation. It is the sacred fire that is burning away illusion, peeling back layers, clearing space for something real. This is not punishment. This is purification. Your soul is being refined by the very pain you wish would end, and soon you will see how deeply it has served you. Do not give up. Keep choosing yourself. Keep returning to the part of you that still believes in love, even when your mind doubts. There is a quiet voice inside you that knows. Love is not just possible. It is destined. It is already yours in the unseen, waiting for the moment it can step fully into form. And when that moment arrives, when the masculine finally turns around and comes home to the truth of what you share, it will not be because you chased or begged. It will be because you chose your own light so completely that he had to rise to meet it. You became the mirror that showed him who he really is, and in that reflection, he found his way back. You will see then, he was not running from you. He was searching for the strength within himself to meet your love with honor. He had to walk his own path to remember what was real. And you, in your stillness, in your choosing of self, became the light that guided him through the dark. There was never a true separation, only the illusion of it. Your souls were always walking toward one another, always destined to meet, always connected through the invisible threads of love that time and space cannot sever. And one day soon, your heart will feel the truth that has always been waiting. Love was never lost. It was simply unfolding. And now it's almost time.